Hi, I'm Ayodeji, and this is Gabriel. We are both software engineers, and today we'll talk about how GraphQL accelerates data transformation through modern APIs. We'll show you how GraphQL eliminates what we call transformation depth and how it changes teams to build and scale digital products. All right, first I'll start with the API bottleneck. So let's assume your team is asked to build a customer dashboard. With REST, we can break down what really happens. As a backend engineer, I use Go with Chi to serve middleware and routes. We can have three different services, one for users, another one for orders and preferences. And of course, we have to keep the services modular, so it's going to be easier to maintain. And then we know we need each of them to have its own APIs. First, we know we need the users API to get customer details. Then we need the orders API to get their recent purchases. And then finally, you had their preferences, which means connecting to the preferences API. Now we are talking about three different services and three different APIs. Each API adds its own rules, its own error handling, and testing requirements. The users API returns data in one format, orders API and preferences API uses a completely different structure. So now, instead of building a dashboard, you are spending your time building and handling three different error states, writing tests for all these integrations, which can be time consuming and difficult to maintain. More issue comes when businesses maybe they also need to show loyalty bonus, for example. That is creating another API. And then when they say, can we also display recent support tickets, for example, that means we need to have another API. So you find out that developers spend more time doing this extra integration work than actually building the dashboard that creates value for users. This is exactly what we call the API bottleneck, which is a problem. When teams get stuck in this extra work, innovation slows down across the whole product. And yeah, here's the thing, right? This isn't just a developer problem. When your engineering team is spending about 60% of their time on integration work instead of feature development, your business loses a competitive advantage. Your time to market increases and your development costs might rise. This is what most of us experience in REST API architectures, and it is exactly what we are here to solve today. Talking about the one endpoint infinite possibilities. With GraphQL, you only need to call a single endpoint, which gives you exactly what you need: the customer details, their orders, and their preferences, all in one response, instead of calling three different APIs. As you can see, in practice with REST API, your front-end code might look something like this, where you have three network requests, three potential failure points, and three different response formats to handle. With GraphQL, you don't actually need to run multiple endpoints. No more wasted time. Everything arrives together, ready for you to use. Let's look at this other analogy, right? So let's imagine maybe you want a full meal, like a main dish, a side, and a dessert, for example. With REST API, is like going to restaurant A, B, and C just to get all parts of your meal. By the time you gather everything, your main dish is cold, and you have wasted like half of your day. With GraphQL, it's like sitting at one restaurant, placing a single order, and getting everything served fresh, exactly how you wanted it, all at the same time. Also, talking about the team impact, GraphQL changes how teams work fundamentally. Developers will spend less time connecting different systems and more times building features that customers actually care about. Instead of dealing with messy integrations and errors, they focus on the business logic that drives value and revenue. Testing and maintenance get simpler with one consistent way to fetch data. Your QA team also isn't dealing with three different API behaviors. They just have one predictable interface to test against. Front end and back end teams can work more independently. Your front-end team can specify exactly what data they need through GraphQL queries, and your back-end team can evolve their services without breaking the front end. So, in other words, GraphQL doesn't just make developers' life easier, it accelerates data transformation. Faster feature delivery means that businesses can innovate, can enter new markets, and scale with confidence. When teams can ship features in days instead of weeks, it creates a real competitive advantage. Also, talking on the client-driven data fetching. So, client-driven data fetching is a design approach where the client decides exactly what data it needs, and the server responds with only that data, nothing more, nothing less. This is very useful when different clients or devices have different requirements. For example, right, a desktop application might need full product details, while a mobile app requires a few details to display. The power of GraphQL is that a single endpoint can serve all clients efficiently, letting each request be tailored to the needs of its users, which actually eliminates the need for multiple endpoints. It also avoids overfetching and keeps the application fast and responsive. Let's look at another scenario that really shows the power of GraphQL. Imagine we have different users with several needs: a desktop shopper, a mobile shopper, a customer service agent, and a warehouse manager. A desktop shopper wants full product details: the name, description, reviews, inventory, related products, pricing history, everything they need just to make an informed purchase decision. A mobile shopper only needs name, price, and image. They are probably on a slower network and have limited screen space and want the app to load quickly. A customer service agent needs other history preferences, support tickets, payment methods, and shipping addresses. They need comprehensive data to help customers effectively, while a warehouse manager only needs inventory level, supplier information, shipping status, and location data. With REST API, you have a few options. The first option is to create separate endpoints for each use case. So you have different endpoints for mobile products, desktop products, and customer service views. But now you are maintaining multiple endpoints that does the same thing, just with different data. Your backend becomes bloated, and every time business requirements change, you need to update multiple endpoints. Another option is to create one endpoint that returns everything and let the client filter. But now your mobile users are downloading megabytes of data that they don't need. Your app is slow and you're wasting bandwidth. Another option with REST API is to add query parameters to control what data is returned. This works for simple cases, but it becomes hard to manage with time. You end up with complex URLs with multiple parameters, and your API becomes hard to manage and maintain. So GraphQL makes this much easier. Instead of many messy links, you just have one clean entry point. Every user or app can ask for the data they need, no more, no less. Which is exactly what is called the client-driven data fetching, and it is a powerful way to build apps that serve different users smoothly and efficiently. Yeah, I'm going to hand over now to Gabriel.
So now let's talk about GraphQL performance. For those who have worked with GraphQL before, you know it offers real performance benefit, which makes our app feel faster for users and also drive better results for businesses. This is so because GraphQL actually eliminates overfetching and underfetching of data, and it also reduces the numbers of network requests made. For example, a customer dashboard might need three different APIs just to get customer details, orders, and preferences. And if there are 10 additional orders to display, and each of these orders probably need a product information, that's potentially 13 network requests just to load a single screen. But GraphQL allows us to unify all these APIs into a single endpoint so you can fetch all of this data in a single request, as you can see on the slide. So GraphQL is not just about performance alone, it's also about reliability because every network request is a potential point of failure. And by reducing 13 potential points of failure down to just one, that means you reduce risks and improve the user experience. GraphQL also make front-end team more productive. This means front-end can build feature faster without waiting for the back-end team to create new endpoint or update the existing one. Let's say we are making use of REST. If a front-end team suddenly need an extra field, you know that they have to reach out to the back-end team to add this field. They have to wait for hours, most times a whole day, because the back-end team need to implement, test before they finally deploy. And then the front-end team can start making use of it. Now you realize that the tiny changes like that could end up holding everyone back. But with GraphQL, this is completely different. Let's assume the data already exists in the backend. The front end only need to update their query to include this new field, and they are done. So what usually takes about hours, even days, now happen instantly. So what does this mean in practice? One, less coordination overhead, simpler error handling, and faster rollout of new features. And from a business standpoint, GraphQL doesn't just make app faster for users. It also reduces, it also speed up development team, which means team can ship out features sooner, and business can respond to market changes almost instantly. So let's talk about the experiences, the real-time experiences. Apart from performance optimization, GraphQL also provides us an easy way to implement real-time experience into our applications. This is very easy to achieve with GraphQL subscription with minimal lines of code. But what are subscriptions? Think of subscription as a live connection between your app and the server that automatically update the interface whenever relevant data changes. For example, in an e-commerce platform, when a customer order move from processing to ship, the customer can actually see this update instantly without having to refresh his or her page. This same apply with the product goes out of stock while the customer are currently browsing, or maybe price changes during a flash sales. All these updates are real time in front of the customer and they don't need to refresh their page. It also applied to finance, maybe stock prices and cryptocurrency exchange rates update in real time, keeping user informed with the latest data. So GraphQL subscription make all of this happen automatically, keeping app responsive and user engaged. This can also be achieved without GraphQL subscription, but building it becomes more complex and maybe usually get messy most times because one, you have to manually set up WebSocket connection yourself, keep track of connection state, handle reconnection and errors, even write some custom pooling logic to constantly check for updates. And on top of that, you are juggling different protocol and data format between real-time and regular API calls. And this is usually complex and error prompts. So GraphQL simplify everything. And that really matters because users expect the app to feel responsive and lively. And from the developer side, achieving this is very easy, especially the front end. With GraphQL library like Apollo Client, you can use subscription hooks to implement these real-time features with minimal code. You do not need to undo manual connection yourself. No complex WebSocket setup. You don't even need to add all those custom polling logic. So GraphQL makes real-time experiences possible with far less complexity for developers. And here is the business impact. Real-time features increase user engagement. App with real-time features like order tracking can actually improve customer satisfaction and reduce service inquiry because customers or users can always see the status of their orders. So you can see these real-time features in every tools. There are a lot of tools out there, our day-to-day tools that has these real-time features. Example, Google Docs, Jira, and a lot more. Now let's explore the GraphQL ecosystem. Let's talk more about the GraphQL ecosystem. GraphQL ecosystem, this is it has a very powerful ecosystem with powerful tools that makes building app faster, safer, and even much easier for developers. Now, what are these GraphQL tools? These tools consist of libraries and utilities that help developers build, manage, and optimize GraphQL schema and resolvers. From schema design to API testing, these tools are essential for creating efficient GraphQL application. I'll talk about a few of them. One, we have the Apollo server, a very powerful open source GraphQL server implementation. Apollo server support feature like schema stitching, allowing you to combine multiple GraphQL API into a unified API. It also has real-time update, making it a very powerful choice for building scalable API, GraphQL APIs. It also offered built-in monitoring, intelligent caching, and enterprise-grade security. We also have the Apollo client, which is really powerful also, especially on the client side. It helps us to manage our data on the front end. It comes with intelligent caching also that automatically updates user interface whenever data changes. It also have like easy to use hooks, like use query for data fetching, use mutation for creating, updating of data, and use subscription to implement real-time features into your project. We have the GraphQL code generator. This is also a very powerful tool. It automates the generation of type queries, mutation, subscription for React, Next.js, and a lot more. It helps to ensure consistency and type safety across your project. We have GraphQL Inspector CLI. This is a command line tool for analyzing and validating GraphQL schema and operation. It comes with features like schema diving, linting, and CI integration, helping team ensure schema consistency and quality across different environments. And it also facilitates continuous integration and delivery. We have the Asura. Asura is a very powerful tool, especially for startup that wants to roll out GraphQL in hours instead of weeks. It allows you to connect your database like Postgres, MySQL, and other supported database option. And it can instantly give you a GraphQL API that comes with query mutation and subscription within few hours. So you see, what made GraphQL special is not just the technology itself, but also the matured ecosystem around it. Currently, the GraphQL ecosystem is even getting more stronger, offering tools that simplify every step of development, from designing schema to monitoring performance and building scalable APIs. These tools deliver real impact. Leveraging these tools can actually help your project move fast, secure, and ready for the future as GraphQL continues to shape web development. And in conclusion, I would like to wrap up with this takeaway point. For those who would like to explore GraphQL, I recommend you start incrementally. You do not need to replace your entire API layer at once. Instead, pick one feature, maybe the customer dashboard we mentioned, try it out, see how your team handles it, and then you can expand. Two, you need to also measure transformation, not just the performance alone. Track how much easier it has become for your team to ship features, collaborate across front end and back end, and adapt to changes requirements. Finally, leverage the ecosystem. You can use tools like Apollo, Asura, Relay, and many others out there. These are production ready solutions that can help you move faster and avoid reinventing the wheel. The best way to get started is by exploring their documentation. It's always the right place to begin. Thank you for watching this video.